coming out revealing secret negotiation between the Nazis and the Zionists in 1933, which allowed German Jews and their assets to go to Palestine.
I lived in Palestine from 1933 to 1936, and we saw every week transports of German Jews coming to settle in Palestine.
In the Berlin paper Der Angriff, the publisher, Hitler's propaganda minister, Joseph Goebbels. A Nazi Visits Palestine was the title of the multi-part series. A medal was struck by Goebbels in commemoration. On one side, the swastika. On the other, the Star of David. But a group of Zionists at the same time was quietly negotiating an agreement with the Nazis to allow the immigration of German Jews and the transfer of their assets to Palestine. That deal, reported in August 1933, was the Transfer Agreement. Palestine, sparsely settled by Jews at the time, was radically changed as a result.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Abby, welcome back.
Hello.
Thanks for being here, you guys.
I can't see who's here because because I'm a guest because my Wi-Fi is down. Can you make us big, Michael?
Yeah, you want me to, I'll put this away. There we go.
There we go.
Maybe a bit bigger would be, how about that? There you go.
Oh, that's perfect. Let me change my, there we go. Okay. Yeah, I'm back. Yay.
Feeling much better?
I'm feeling so much better. So I want to thank you, Michael, because you were so supportive to me when I did not know what was wrong with me and what was going on with me. I mean, you sat there and researched WebMD with me. I just really appreciate you.
Oh, it's okay. I appreciate you too. You were there for me a little bit when I was doing my detox there, so we were doing what we can for each other, right? So
that's correct. And really, what I found was nothing was really wrong with me other than I was running around too much and doing too many things, and my body said no more.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Remember that? I was like sleeping for like the first week. I was in a lot of pain, and we were trying to figure out what was wrong with me, because I couldn't go to the doctor.
Yeah.
So I tried to self-diagnose, and then the second week I just slept. I slept all week, and I took a vitamin regimen. I took vitamin D. I have them all right here. I took turmeric. I took apple cider vinegar. I took iron because I'm anemic. I took vitamin D3 and vitamin C. Is that all I took? Let me see. Oh, and some B12. And drank lots of water and slept and just slept and slept and slept. And then I just woke up one day and it was like over. Just automatic. It was just over.
And you said, I think, something about maybe quitting cigarettes while you were sick.
Yes. So when it was over, I was just like, you know what? I'm changing my ways. So I just quit.
Good job.
That day. So
yeah, good job.
I'm excited.
You got a new horizon ahead of you. So.
Yeah. See, that's why I'm wearing this sweater.
Oh, great.
After the eclipse. So the day after the eclipse, we had a huge storm here in Louisiana. And so that was, today is what, Thursday. So Wednesday, my Wi-Fi went down. It's still not up. So that's why I'm on my phone. I'm coming to you guys using my data from my phone. Because I missed you. I missed my chat friends.
Well, I appreciate you making the effort to make it here, because I wasn't really looking forward to doing a third stream alone. So thank you.
I appreciate you holding it down while I was not feeling well, and And you already know I have to leave early because um, I'm graduating Saturday on my birthday. I turned 48 Saturday, by the way. Um, but I'm graduating from this organization called Lead Louisiana, where they like train the next young leaders to develop policy and things for local advocacy. So I have to leave and be somewhere for 6:30. So I have to make a hard stop around 5:30, 5:45, something like that, something of
All
that nature.
good.
And
Yep.
I appreciate you
I
for being
wasn't wanting to
patient.
go too long today anyway, so I'm thinking I'll you can go ahead and get out of here at that time, and then I got a little bit of a video I can close things out with after I touch on. We haven't really talked about Taiwan much here, and how it seems strange about what kind of connections would Taiwan have with Israel, or what they could, what they might be doing in response to the situation and stuff. So I think that I can close out with that after you have to go. So
Okay, okay. I just wanted to say, one of the things I've been working on, like rigorously, is I'm putting together a summer camp for teens. It's like a reading comprehension for the first 2 weeks. Why is this? Wait, there we go. For the first 2 weeks is reading comprehension. We're going to be reading short stories by Ernest Gaines, which is a local author, but a very good author out of Lafayette, Louisiana, a black author, and he has short stories for teens, and the topics are very heavy. I mean, there's like transgenderism in some of them, like um, racism, all kind of stuff. Um,
all the kind of stuff that some people would be happy to ban from. Don't let my kids have that at
all kind
school.
of CRT, and yeah, all kind of stuff that people want to ban is in this book for teens. And it was written like a couple of like a while ago, which makes it even more interesting because it was a relevant topic even back then, but
Mm.
not a topic that was highly discussed. So we're doing that for 2 weeks. And then the third week, we're going to have a bunch of guests from an artistic perspective, a comedian, a rapper, a singer, a spoken word poet, and then the kids the whole time they're going to be putting together whatever they want to do. So that third week, all those people are going to come and to um, inspire them, and then they're going to do an open mic and do whatever it is they want to do for them for each other. So that should be cool.
Mhm.
And then the fourth week is Adulting 101. So we'll be talking about financial literacy, um, like being careful online, not getting scammed, and phishing and all that stuff. Things that they need to be prepared for as they move into adulthood. And then after that, we're gonna have free haircuts and quick styles for girls to go back to school in August. So I've been working on that diligently, and I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, like I've said before, they're lucky to have you there.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
So getting over the chat here to see how everyone's doing. Retro Gamer says, "Welcome back, Abby. Hope you're feeling better."
Thank you, Retro Gamer. I've been like I have been. Yep, vitamin C. Yes, I do have. I'm glad he said that. I have some CBD gummies. I didn't want to put that up there, but I've been taking those too.
Yeah.
So I've been way out of the loop, like way out of here. My CBD gummies. Yeah, there they are. I've been way out of the loop and haven't really been able to catch up on news because I've been sleeping. And then when I finally, became myself again, I've had all this work stuff I had to catch up on. So I haven't really been watching stuff, but I do know this. I think Rondo had a birthday. So
Rondo.
yep,
Happy birthday.
happy
Nice.
happy belated birthday, Rondo. That much I know. Everything else is a blur.
Desert Mantis says, Michael worked us through the ringer while you were away, Abby. Well, my last episode was a bit heavy on I did the stuff about the solar activity and the recessions and some uranium market stuff. And I thought the episode before that was a bit kind of a flop. So
I haven't even been able to watch your episodes, Michael. That's how far behind I am on everything.
it's
Which
okay. I think sometimes you need to pull back from the media. You need to take care of your physical health and then dip back into it. So
yeah. And then for all of you in the chat, I'm walking around my house like incessantly crazy because I have anxiety because I'm not super prepared today. So it makes me nervous. So I'm just walking from room to room.
Rondo says, no, I didn't have a birthday. All right, sorry, Rondo.
Oh, you didn't?
Happy birthday when you have a birthday.
Oh, I thought someone said maybe that was a different Rondo. Okay, well, never mind. Happy birthday when you have a birthday.
This reminds me, though, I should look into. I accidentally banned Grapentine. I don't know if there's any way how to unban them. I thought maybe I would wait until we were live to take a look. So I'm just gonna quickly look on the YouTube to see if I can unblock her real quick. But
Michael's banning people? What kind of fascist is that? I'm just playing.
I didn't do it on purpose.
We don't
I got
ban
called
people.
worse than a Nazi today, if that makes you feel any better.
Did you really?
No, but I accidentally, because I was doing everything by myself, I accidentally clicked these three dots beside their name, and then clicked right away without knowing what I clicked, and then she was banned, and I can't get her back. So if you're listening, Grapentine, I hope you're there. We appreciate you. I'm sorry again, but I can't seem to figure out how to fix it. So if anyone knows, that would be great if you could let me know. So, Google how to
Well,
unblock. Yeah, I will. Thank you, Myra.
I heard the people in the chat were helping you out while I was away
Yeah,
with the
I got a
copyright and all
copyright
that.
strike. Yeah, and if they hadn't said something about how this happened to somebody else, and then they got it coming back, I would have maybe pulled the plug because I didn't know that. I caught on that the chat was still going, so the stream was still up, but I didn't know how to break. Like I just shut down what I was doing that I knew was the problem, and then left and came back, whatever, and it fixed it, I guess. But
Very good.
that's things I got to learn. So
yeah, we're new at this, so we're just doing the best we can with what we have, and we'll get better. Only time, like my dad said, just keep waking up every day.
mm-hmm. There you go. That's half the battle.
That's half the battle. Yeah.
So shall
Okay.
we get
Talking
Sharon?
about today. Yep. Let's get. Oh, let me turn the light off. There we go. That's better.
You want to get Sharon something here? Talk about
Yeah.
a story.
I can't share anything on. I can't do anything on the phone, but talk to
All
you.
right. Yeah. Okay. I was gonna start with this one. Let me throw up our ticker here first. Here we go. Okay. So Israel continues to block aid into northern Gaza. UN sending team to shattered Al Shifa hospital. This was from April 1st, 2024. I thought it relevant to call up the UN.org website to show what they're saying officially from the UN about Israel, showing the narrative really has turned against them, and yet they still continue to be intransigent, which is exactly what Hamas has said as far as what needs to happen for a ceasefire. So Israel forces are blocking aid deliveries into famine-stricken northern Gaza as the 5-month long war grinds on, despite recent strong demands from the top UN court and the Security Council for open aid access into the enclave and for a temporary ceasefire and the return of all hostages taken in October, as the UN plans an assessment mission into Al-Shifa Hospital, which had been occupied by Israel troops for 2 weeks. More than a dozen Palestinians have been killed related to airdrops by multiple nations who are trying to deliver desperately needed aid in the face of Israel's slow-walking food shipments at border crossings into Gaza, according to news reports. The victims reportedly either died by drowning while trying to retrieve food packages from the sea or were fatally struck by falling boxes of aid. At the same time, reports from UN agencies on the ground in Gaza indicate continuation of airstrikes and attacks. This comes alongside ever louder calls for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire and for Israel to comply with both a Security Council resolution for a cessation of hostilities during Ramadan, which ended on April 10th, and the ICJ orders last Friday, asking the country to respect its obligations as a signatory of the Genocide Convention and open border crossings to allow sufficient aid into the enclave. In its latest situation report, the specialist UN Palestine Relief Agency, UNRWA, said Israel security forces continued military operations across the Gaza Strip, resulting in further civilian casualties, displacement and destruction of houses and other civilian infrastructure. Israel attacks have killed more than 32,000 people in Gaza since the war began in October, according to the health ministry there, following a Hamas-led incursion into Israel. Airstrikes and bombardment continue in North Gaza, Khan Yunis, and Rafah, where UNRWA estimates a total of 1.2 million people are now living, the vast majority in formal and informal shelters, the UN agency reported. Over 100 UNRWA schools have been directly or indirectly hit, with some being severely damaged. Many have been used as shelters for displaced families since the war began. No place is safe in Gaza Strip. This is a war on children, on their childhood and their future. Ceasefire now, UNRWA posted on social media. So I think I could stop there.
I don't even know what to say. It's like you're purposely starving children. Like, where do you go from that? And okay, I'm really behind on my media, but it was somebody. It was a black man. I forget his position, but he went on C-SPAN or something. He went in front of Congress and said the U.S. position is that there's no genocide happening. You know what I'm talking about? I just recently saw this.
Sorry, I was just looking at the chat there, trying to get a little distracted.
Yeah, what are they saying in the chat?
Said the truth shall set them free, Michael, said Desert Mantis there.
Will it though?
Abby said her birthday's on Saturday.
Yes, it is Saturday, April 13th.
Israel withdrew from Gaza, leaving only one company to block the aid, apparently, said Rondo. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no, you didn't. I'm just, so Israel withdrew from Gaza, leaving only one company. Well, that's interesting.
It is a bit strange that they're doing this withdrawal, calling for setting a date for a Rafah invasion. It's kind of unpredictable and strange behavior.
You know what it sounds like? It sounds like there's going to be some mercenaries taking the place of what they're doing, because that's a big strategy with the U.S. They say they don't have anything to do with it. They're not interfering, but somehow they have mercenaries on the ground that are doing their dirty work for them. I don't trust it. I don't trust them, and I don't believe them.
Yeah, I wonder where would they be coming from if they're going to do that. That's what they're doing in Ukraine, kind of thing, right? They're how many NATO troops are actually already fighting Russia without fighting actually with NATO colors? You know, they're just dressing up as mercenaries or Ukraine soldiers. Who knows? These things we could speculate, but without proof, it might not be the best idea. So I would think that they're
Well,
probably with what the concern with Iran's retaliation from the embassy bombing, there might be some strategic concern as far as troop mobilization for the Lebanon border and the Syria border and these things. So
well, okay. I personally don't have a problem with speculating because I they came up with the term conspiracy theorist on purpose to discredit speculation,
mm-hmm.
and and we're supposed to start with the premise that our government is lying to us, and let's critically think about how and why. So that's where speculation comes from. So we don't know the answers, but we're trying to figure them out. And the only
Yeah,
way to do that is through speculation. So I have no problem speculating.
and they got no problem speculating with the economy and stuff like that. They're fully on board with the idea that it's a positive thing to do in an economic sense, but then people frown on it in a more whatever a political analysis that doesn't make any sense.
That is so funny that you just mentioned that because Alan Greenspan, he speculated with our lives for his whole term. And then he went in front of Congress and was like, yeah, what I thought would work didn't. Oh, well, just like I thought what I thought I was on the wrong path. My bad. And that was it. He
Mm.
didn't lose any money. He didn't lose any wealth. He didn't get fired. He did nothing. Is so if he could speculate on my life and livelihood, I could speculate for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's you're not getting anywhere in life without speculating. It's like try it and live without an opinion. See how far you get.
Right.
So
Absolutely. But that video that you showed, I don't know if I'm switching gears here,
it's
but
okay.
that was super interesting because it shows that even during the Holocaust, the Zionists were already they were working with the Nazis on this plan to take Palestine.
Yeah.
So they try to act like the Holocaust was like it they needed to find a state because of the Holocaust, but it seems like they edged on the Holocaust to make people think they needed a state. You see what I'm saying? Like they sacrificed their own people
Yeah.
for
This
this
is a
plan.
hard thing to talk about because if you do, you'll get jumped on as far like being called like a Holocaust denier or something. I don't know if anyone watching has heard about the Owen James little controversy scandal thing where he had a on an interview. I forget. I don't even know who he was being interviewed with. It was a debate dialogue with a Zionist, and he got into hot water because he had been mentioning how about the Holocaust happening, like a second Holocaust kind of thing, using the memory of the Holocaust to get away with doing another one, sort of rhetoric. I don't want to paraphrase too much. Kind of fuzzy on the interview, but the social media jumped on him and tried to crucify him for having the right stance on this. So
I don't even know who that is.
maybe I should have called it up. We could watch it a bit. Maybe that would see if I can find it real quick. Well, you want to?
I'm so far behind. I don't even know who that is. So
I
I
don't
yeah.
know him too well either. I just came across him recently. He's a British journalist. I'm not sure. I think he might be Marxist, social democratic at the least, it seems. But I
Oh,
shouldn't speak too much about him without knowing who he is. So
well, while you're trying to pull that up, so I'm just going off the dome. Um, another because I'm not prepared. I don't have anything, and I can't share anything. But it was it was also it has also come up that they what is his name? Let me look it up real quick. His name is Chaim Arlo Arlosorov. So Haim Arlosorov. Oroff. Okay, so he was setting up Palestine, the Israel Palestine, as a socialist country, a socialist state. So like a Marxist state. So socialism works for the people that they want it to work for. They just don't want it to work for brown and black people, pretty much. Finland is socialist. Sweden is
So they keep
socialist.
saying, yeah.
Like all these places that are super exclusively white are very socialist. It's just all the rest of the places need to be capitalist. Why is that? That's exploitation of black and brown people for the benefit of the colonies, basically.
Yeah, I'm not finding what I'm looking for, so I think we'll have to. I'll maybe talk about that another time or something. But I was hoping someone, David Denuno, Owen Jones, someone. I'd hoping some of the viewers know what I'm talking about at least. But
Yeah, check the chat.
I hadn't exactly been planning to cover that. I just kind of came up in conversation. So you had also been talking about Candace Owens' interview with what's this other guy's name? I forget.
I
This
forget his.
atrocious comment about anti-Semitism or anti-Zionism's anti-Semitism.
Yeah, he basically said anti-Zion. To be anti-Zionist is to be anti-Semitic, and I was like, whoa! They get to redefine anti-Semitism.
Yeah,
Just like that.
I'll just share this. I'll just share this tab to. We don't want to maybe play this whole video because we don't know where it is, the comment, or whatever. But if the viewers wanted to watch it themselves,
I
we're
know
just talking about this guy here.
you could probably start at well, I saw like at 14 to 24, but that's like 10 minutes. So because she keeps like going over and over the point. But maybe if you started at 22.
Yeah, I could just play a bit if you want to just for the viewers to see if you want.
Yeah, I
Just
didn't
play
have
a bit.
in that exact part where he said anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism, which it blew my mind for him to say that. But if you start at 22 and just see what he's saying there.
Yeah, he says plenty of unhinged crap in this stuff. So
crap, yeah. So if y'all haven't
here we
seen
go.
that, go back and watch it. It is crazy.
You want me to play a few minutes of it?
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
That part right there. We're at 1430. We go back to 14, right about here. It's the part about identity. Because this is a revealing moment.
Well, I wouldn't describe a race as a political ideology, like a political party. That's very, very different. So to say that you can't be a race person and can in fact be racist.
I'm going to call self-hating Jews.
Okay, so you do believe, that's all I was trying to get you to say, is that Jewish people who don't support Israel, you are saying they are anti-Semitic. I just want to understand that.
I'm saying it very clearly, they are self-hating Jews. Let's use that term very specifically. Okay. And you need to understand why they are self-hating Jews. And you need to understand, as numerous people have talked about, I've written about, Gregor's talked about Shapiro's talked about, and as I say, I've written about, is that people want to assimilate. For 2,000 years, Jews have been persecuted, and so they want to assimilate. And so many have converted from Judaism, not to another religion, but to leftist politics.
Okay, that part about converting to leftist politics. Now listen to this part, guys.
That becomes their religion. And
that part right there. So he said the leftist politics becomes their religion. Listen.
They lose their identity. That is a reality.
They lose their identity. Now,
Okay, I don't know if we're gonna keep. You want to keep listening to Sabby's comment, but we could go on. We're not sure when we're gonna stop on that. But
I'm not. Well, I can't really hear it because I'm on data and it's like buffering and stuff for me.
oh, that's right.
So I'm not really sure what was
So
being said.
he's basically talking about how he thinks there are some people who are self-hating Jews. He didn't want to comment. She was using the analogy about a black person. Trying to remember exactly how she said it. You're not black if you're like, I don't really know, but he's saying he didn't want to talk about that. He wanted to say about how the self-hating Jews, it becomes like a religion for them, and it becomes leftist politics becomes their new religion, which is kind of a transference, this emotional, psychological transference phenomenon and projection there. Isn't that kind of the exactly what the Zionist politics are? The right-wing politics framed as a religion. Anyway,
Like a cult.
yeah.
But I mean, left politics is the same way. They're both cults, right? Anytime Marjorie Taylor Greene says abolish the FBI, and the left is talking crazy to her, when the left was saying defund the police, but because that idea came from someone from the right, we can't support it, then you're in a cult.
Yeah.
If Marjorie, as batshit crazy as she is, if you say abolish the FBI, girl, I'm with you. Come on, let's go. Like, where do I sign up?
Well,
But
everyone.
because it came from her, they can't endorse it.
Yeah.
Because this is not their idea. It's a cult.
Well, and then everyone uses that like everything. They devalue the word when if everyone's a cult, no one's a cult. So people call communists communism a cult and everything, and then the churches are often kind of pretty culty, if you ask me, but they get to be distinguished as not a cult. I don't want to be getting too much into.
Well, communism isn't a cult; it's a system.
No, exactly. But as long as everyone's allowed to, it's like when everyone gets called a Nazi, no one's a Nazi. But then you can't really go sussing out what's the real cult or who's the real Nazi if the Nazis are calling everyone else a Nazi. So
remember when they used to put the Nazi mustache on Obama? And this dude is like a moderate Republican. I mean, he literally went overseas and did an interview and said, I'm really more of a moderate Republican. He would have never said that in America. And we didn't even get wind of it until years later, because there's no way he could have said that back home and still had support. And half the people don't even know he said that, because, people don't pay attention that much. People still idolize him like he's the bee's knees. And he's as much of a POS as the rest of them.
yeah. So I'm gonna see what's going on with the chat here.
Yay, chat friends!
Hello, Dr. Nick. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Dr. Nick.
Mastermind, welcome.
Hi,
I
Mastermind.
don't think we said hello to Stay Balanced, but he's been here for a while.
Oh, hey, Stay Balanced.
Let's see, what do they have
Good
here?
to see you. I got a chance to talk to him the other day.
Hillier Egregore says, this fool wants us to hate all Jews, saying all SRE, I don't know.
All are Zionists.
All are Zionists, which is a division technique. Yeah. The hasty generalization fallacy. It's so clear when you learn the fallacies how much the propaganda techniques have to rely on the fallacy to do the technique. And so if you know what the fallacy is, you know what the propaganda technique is. But yeah, you should look up some fallacies, guys. So like I was saying, a video about the slippery slope fallacy, because they're bringing back the domino theory from communism's. If we don't stop communism in Vietnam, it will conquer all of Southeast Asia, one by one. And that's oversimplification of events. It doesn't have to follow one by one. So
I mean, if it's so bad, let it fail on its own. Why do you need to go intervene? Like if it's that bad, it will not prosper. So go let it fail on its own. You have to intervene because you don't want your exploitation to end.
yeah,
So you gotta stamp down all of these systems that you don't like, because you don't want the people to know that there is a better way.
yeah. So, but now the dominoes are Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan for now. And if you want to go embellishing the theory, I'm sure there's plenty more dominoes you can add. So, but those are dominoes that, in my opinion, need to be falling. If they do not fall, then we got all hell kind of breaking loose because of it. So you can't have an unsustainable situation last forever. But this is exactly what the Americans the U.S. government seems to want to try to do there, to maintain a hegemony that's non-existent. So, yeah.
Can you make us big, Michael?
Yeah. Let me just
stabs. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, much better.
Yeah, I should move on to we're 40 minutes in. You got to go in 5 minutes, you're saying?
Yeah, we have a super tight itinerary from tonight all the way up until Saturday. So I'm going to be ripping and running, but I'll be taking my vitamins.
Nice.
So,
yeah, I take vitamin D and magnesium and ashwagandha is what I'm doing now. So
what is it?
Ashwagandha.
What's that?
It's natural stress relief, sleep aid, and stamina builder. So it says I guess it's Ayurvedic medicine, the Indian stuff. More holistic approach. Yeah, I'll text it to you.
Yeah, I'm about to start this. Let me see if I could turn my screen. See this? You ever heard of this?
She will know.
So it's like nutrition food, like protein that you could add to stuff. Cause I'm kind of tiny. I only weigh like 120 pounds, and sometimes I don't eat that much, and so this is like a ground protein that I can add to drinks and stuff like that. So I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna try this because I me and my mom had a bet, like she was supposed to lose 3 pounds. I was supposed to gain 3 pounds. I ended up losing 5 pounds. So it didn't work out for me. So I'm going to try this stuff and see if it can help me maintain my body weight. Because I get nervous when I get sick, because I lose a lot of weight when I get sick, and then I don't really have weight to lose,
Yeah.
So, it makes me think, the older I get, how people get frail when they get older. And I'm like, I really don't have anywhere to go from here.
Yeah.
So I need to bulk up a little bit or something.
Yeah. That's why I used to feel that way for a while. I was only like 120 pounds for a long time after like high school and college and stuff. I was just 120 pounds. And then only the last 5 years I put on weight when I went into the psych ward and started taking the antipsychotics, which is what gave me bit of a belly I didn't have before. But until then, I was kind of worried too that if I'm not eating enough, I'm like skin and bones. So
Yeah, you're tiny like me.
yeah, not so much anymore, but yeah.
Not so much anymore. What are you now?
Now I'm like 145 or something, but it's like a
Oh,
healthier weight
good.
anyways.
That's good. That's what I was trying to like. I was like, oh, maybe I should be like around 140.
Yeah.
That'd be good. But I
But if
can't
it
to get there.
there is an adjustment, even if it's just 20 pounds, I felt a bit different for a while, like more tired, just doing basic activities because I got more weight to lug around.
Mm.
But I also smoke way too much weed, I guess. I'm not so, that takes away my desire to do exercise.
Yeah, I don't smoke weed. Um, not for any other reason than it just makes me I can't like socialize if I smoke
Yeah.
because I'm
Well,
too
there's
in.
probably some of that going on maybe with me. Who knows?
Yeah, I'll be too into myself, so I'm not a good. Um, I mean, there are people who could smoke and they're still communicating and hanging out, and I'm just sitting there like like
Yeah.
duh.
I
So
tend to be more like one of those people who can smoke, and then like if we get talking about something, I can get all like I won't get tired, or it'll have a different like a stimulant effect on me or something instead. So, but then if I'm just smoking alone, it's more. If I smoke a lot and smoking late at night, I start to get kind of tired, just like anybody. So
yeah, I know people who smoke to like slow down the thoughts in their brain so they can catch them to get them out type of thing because
mm,
they move so fast that the smoke um, helps them communicate better.
yeah, that's
So
where I feel that it would help with the doctors with me maybe if they would instead of thinking of it as being a harmful maladaptive thing, if they could consider it to be more helpful, beneficial, then they might be because they want to prescribe like the antipsychotics or antidepressants, and I've been the whole time for over a decade. I've been telling them, "Could you prescribe me medical marijuana?" I kind of gave up at this point, but if they would have just prescribed that to me that long while ago, they could have helped me avoid spending all my money on recreational cannabis that's not really designed for the purpose. And then if the medical marijuana is not properly, like if they got a lot of work to do to make it better, they're not getting anywhere by letting the recreational people take the market. So
y'all don't have
but
medical marijuana there. We have it here in
we
Louisiana.
do, but we still have the stigma. Like only some people can get it if your medical history is matches a certain stereotype. Then like they do. I found articles that they're discussing, like on the CBC and stuff, about how doctors still have a bias towards pharmaceuticals and against weed. They still think of it as more harmful than good, so they're reticent to employ it in their practice. So they
Mm,
rely on these other pharmaceuticals that have been kind of proven to be bad for you just as much as the weed, if not worse. But they have this favoritism going on. So
mm, I see. It's really easy to get here. It's like you fill out a questionnaire and boom, you got medical marijuana.
I might be able to get stuff easier if I was less of an idiot about stuff. I tend to be really overly principled and stuff, and then not make choices I could make to get things more practically. So
Oh, well, I'll be more. Okay, so I'm gonna have to make my hard stop, but can we check the chat first before I
yeah,
go?
Nick
Check
says besides illegal weed smokes better. They
illegal
got
weed.
there's tons of stuff going on in the chat. We missed a lot, so sorry guys.
Illegal weed smokes better. That's awesome. It actually
Cannabis
does.
market, like all markets, are controlled by capitalists, so their priorities is not health. Exactly, hundred
Right.
percent. Johnny,
100%.
yeah, I
Hi,
still
Johnny.
run into I still run into doctors who don't like cannabis. One of them laughed. I don't talk to that guy anymore. Good for you.
And you shouldn't. Get him out of there.
One of the problems with legal weed is corporations taking over it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And you see them doing all these marketing tricks, selling you the idea of weed rather than the actual product. I don't know if how much people are aware that the THC percentage and the indica, sativa doesn't make as much of a difference as they make it out to be. It's kind of one of those marketing tactics they've always used to, like a placebo effect. If you believe that it does these things, you're more willing to buy it and stuff. So the high percentage of the THC, while it does have something of an effect, our weed has not really been getting any stronger since like 1970, basically. It's the entourage effect that does the work.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And one thing people don't want to talk about is like they need to pay reparations to all those people who are in prison for marijuana.
Oh yeah.
They should get reparations, and they're mostly black men because they overpolice black neighborhoods. And now the industry is how many black people actually were able to break through in the cannabis industry. It's the percent is so small, and there's still people in jail right now for cannabis infractions. And there needs to be some type of reparations.
Mm-hmm. And nowadays, it's like night and day, right? Black and white. Like you go to the store, you pick up a $5 indica pre-roll there, boom, back home, you're smoking it 5 minutes later. Nobody fucking tackling you in a bush or nothing. Put you in jail for 30 years. Like,
right. Because you could go to jail for like, back in the cut, you could go to jail for like a dime bag or a nickel bag. They'll put you in jail for a nickel bag. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. John H. says the placebo of indica dominant strains makes me feel less anxiety. It's not like it's the actual full-on placebo effect. The weed does totally do its thing. I'm just saying the distinction between indica and sativa isn't really as real as it's made out to be. Like one doesn't necessarily make you more sleepy than the other. And especially with the hybrids going on, so it's really hard to know what's an actually sativa plant and actually indica. So, but yeah, we're getting on a tangent here. You got to get running here, or
Gotta go. I miss you guys so much. I'm glad to be back, and I promise next week I will be prepared. All right, Michael. Thank you so much for everything you've done while I was sick, and I really appreciate you sticking it out with me and hanging with me off air. So thank you so much.
thank you. No problem. See you next time.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, bye. Okay, guys. I had a couple other things. I don't really need to talk about every tab like that I got called up here. Maybe I'll just jump into this article over here because we already been going for 50 minutes. So I'm gonna kind of wrap it up a little shorter here tonight. So let's just read a few more things. I'll get into the Taiwan a bit next, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay. So. Aid groups accuse countries arming Israel of being complicit in genocide in Gaza as it happened. The Palestinian Thursday, April 4th, 2024. The Palestinian death toll from Israel's deadly offensive on Gaza has soared to 33,000 as the war on the Strip enters its 181st day. The toll includes at least 62 deaths over the past 24 hours. The United States opposed a Palestinian push for full membership at the United Nations, with Washington claiming it backed statehood, but after negotiations with Israel. Major international aid groups warned it was now almost impossible to work in Gaza, with one asserting that countries providing arms to Israel are complicit in what amounts to genocide. Isabelle Defourny, president of Doctors Without Borders, spoke out about the risk of genocide as 13 major humanitarian groups blasted Israel for restricting aid getting into the Gaza Strip. The killing of 7 aid workers from the US-based World Central Kitchen by Israeli airstrikes Monday has sparked an outcry. DeFourny said the United States, Britain, France, and other nations were morally and politically complicit with what to our eyes amounts to genocide by providing military support to Israel. The aid groups also demanded that Israel abandon its plans to launch a ground assault on Rafah in the south of Gaza, where well over 1 million civilians are sheltering. While WCK has suspended its operations in Gaza, none of the 13 groups, including Oxfam and Save the Children, who made the joint call, said they were pulling out. President Joe Biden spoke by phone with Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu Thursday amid growing domestic pressure to set conditions on U.S. military support amid domestic outrage over the killing of 7 aid workers. Biden told Netanyahu immediate ceasefire is essential in the Gaza war and urged Israel to reach a deal without delay. Israel is systematically destroying Gaza's healthcare system, Doctors Without Borders said, describing scenes of carnage that no hospitals in the world would be able to handle. MSF said deadly attacks on humanitarian staff from Israel showed either deliberate intent or reckless incompetence and called for a change in how the war is being conducted. Now we're seeing the systemic and deliberate destruction of the healthcare system, Amber Alayan, MSF Deputy Program Manager for the Middle East, told a press conference at MSF's headquarters in Geneva. Alayan said the vast majority of injuries seen by MSF medics in Gaza were explosive injuries, the effects of bombs hitting homes. You get crush injuries to the abdomen, to the thorax. Amputations are required for the legs and arms. And on top of that, patients suffer severe burns, she said. No healthcare system in the world can cope with the volume and type of injuries and the medical conditions that we're seeing daily. You could add 1,000 field hospitals. You're not going to be able to replace the healthcare system that was in Gaza before the war. Several projectiles were fired from Lebanon at Western Galilee, northern Israel. One home is reportedly damaged in the border Israeli settlement of Shlomi. Hezbollah claims responsibility, saying it fired missiles at an Israeli army position in the area. The occupation army said it was shelling the launch sites with artillery. Hamas official Osama Hamdan said there had been no progress in Gaza ceasefire talks despite the movement showing flexibility. During a press briefing in Beirut, Hamdan accused Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of placing obstacles, hindering both parties from reaching an agreement. Hamdan also said that Netanyahu is not interested in releasing Israeli captives. The occupation government is still evading, and negotiations are stuck in a vicious circle. I also remember hearing there was a Hamas commander had his son killed in a strike recently, something like that. So I could keep going on, but I'm going to get lost just reading this article here. You kind of get the point, right? So let me just kind of tune into you guys, see what you guys are saying here. So. Yeah, he said it's been 30K dead for 10 weeks. I know, I don't really trust these numbers, said Nick Riviera. Should preface these numbers with officially recognized. I'm more convinced by Ralph Nader's estimates. I don't know what those estimates are. Maybe I'll take a look. Thank you. According to the Morris is on Redacted, looks like Iran's attack on Israel is imminent, possibly within hours. Yeah, don't hold your breath, I'd say. It's like a black swan event. Is really kind of impossible to predict. And as far as war tactics, if you really want to be successful, you need to be unpredictable. So as much as they're all going to be making proclamations and declarations, there's really there's no point in listening to any of what they're having to say at the moment. You have to pay attention to their actions. So let's see what else I was going to share. So the next article, I wanted to get into a little bit about this psychological transference idea, because there's all this stuff about we can't transfer aid to them because they're dangerous and stuff. And who's the real danger here? It's pretty obvious, but the way that they get away with it is this what do you call it? An occupied state of mind, clinical transference and countertransference across the Israeli-Palestinian divide. So I don't really get to read these articles because you have to pay for them and stuff like that. So I get to just read the abstract. So I'll just do that for you guys. But it kind of, those of us who are aware of the situation, the abstract is enough to explain what the situation is. So the authors, a Palestinian psychiatrist working in the West Bank and a Jewish American child psychiatrist, just make sure, in New York, report on varieties of problematic transference and countertransference phenomena observed among mental health clinicians and patients across the Israeli-Palestinian divide. Reciprocal transference and countertransference anxieties were asymmetrical, reflecting the broader power relationship between Israelis and Palestinians. The Israeli clinicians' need to regulate and to silence Palestinian aggression, either real or presumed, interfered with empathy, trust, genuine dialogue, and learning. The authors suggest that to account for these findings, the psychoanalytic model of collective trauma must be integrated with motivational models from other disciplines in order to capture the roles played by social forces such as political propaganda, the silencing of social dissent, and long-standing historical agendas of military and economic domination. So we see the the state of mind of the occupier and the state of mind of the occupied are completely relevant when we are talking about who is responsible. You can't really do this both sidesism going on because there's a transference that's happening in an asymmetrical way. It's not tit for tat so much. It is transference and countertransference. If you don't hit them back, you're the one who takes all the burden and responsibility, and you acquiesce to colonialism. So don't let those psychological operatives, whatever, the psyopers, don't let them get to you, right? Iran closed all their airports today, and military is on high alert. Bunch of brass from U.S. heading to Israel. Yeah, I'd imagine there's tons of activity going on right now, and I don't deny that there's a very high chance for anything could spark anything at any moment. I just know that there's tons of procedures in place to ensure that when they get to full alert and readiness, that they are waiting for orders before anyone does anything, and that's supposed to prevent things like World War III from happening on accident. So let's hope that these sober states of mind are prevailing here within the militaries at the moment, for the love of God. So. And Bibi has the nerve to say they can go back to the north of Gaza. To what? Go back to what exactly? Yeah. They'll say all these things like, well, how can you trust them now? You know, they're going to go back to the north of Gaza and then they're going to get bombed again for going there. But when they left, when they told them they were allowed to leave the north of Gaza, and then they bombed them when they were leaving. How do you know that they can go back now without getting bombed on the way back? You can't. You can't trust them. You need full, unconditional ceasefire, and it seems a little bit unrealistic. This is one of those uncomfortable truths that needs to maybe be acknowledged, that there's the Israelis are doing to the Palestinians what the Russians have done to the Ukrainians, in a sense that the Ukrainians demand that that Russia pulls every last Russian troop out of Crimea and the Donbass, unless those conditions are met, there can be no peace agreement. And this is unrealistic for the Ukrainians, and they know that, and they continue to push that anyways. And unfortunately, I think that the Israeli regime is cynically taking an opportunity to cast the Palestinians and Israeli conflict in the exact same, to kind of get that transference going on, where they're saying, look, the Palestinians are being just as unrealistic as you think that the Ukrainians are, in demanding that we completely remove every last troop from Gaza before any agreement can be made. But the uncomfortable truth, the difference of the conflicts, is that Israel's committing a clear genocide against women and children, while Russia has been doing all kinds of things to under international law to actually mitigate the extra collateral damage to civilians and whatnot. And you can feel free to have a difference of opinion there. I'm just telling you that the propaganda technique is to try and make the situations look the same. Okay. And then also, we should move on here. Talking about that sort of helps me segue into this next article here briefly. Taiwan is in a similar situation where when we look at how the Taiwanese looking at the Israel-Gaza situation and comparing it to their own situation with the Chinese, clearly the Taiwanese would be the David versus Goliath in that situation, putting them in a situation where they ought to be in solidarity, you might think, with the other little guy in the other part of the world. But they don't have that approach. They are the David against the Goliath of China, but then when it comes to Israel and Taiwan, Taiwan supports Goliath against the David of Palestine. So make it make sense, right? You have to understand the connections there. Let's get into this one here. Taiwan must stand up for Palestine, otherwise it may face the same fate as Gaza and a potentially silent international community. This Monday, the United Nations observed a moment of silence for the 101 staff members killed in the ongoing Israel-Hamas war. The death toll in the Gaza Strip has surpassed 11,000 people. So this is from November 17th, right? So we're going to have to kind of skip ahead here. I didn't have time. I had a lot of things going on with me today too, so we're very disorganized here today. I didn't get to do my highlights and stuff, so let me try and briefly find somewhere to start. I'll just start from here, and we'll hope that it's a good spot. So, flattened hospitals, an encircled city, and an international community paralyzed by political deadlock, the scenes in Gaza could preview a potential invasion of Taiwan. Indeed, both Taiwan and Palestine face a neighbor with substantially more advanced military capabilities and increasingly nationalistic populations. One could imagine China preventing imports of food and energy to Taiwan through a blockade, as Israel has done in Gaza. Maybe you can, but I don't really see the Chinese leadership as being capable of that kind of cruelty. But, if you want to be anti-China, anti-communist, racist, I'm sure you can imagine that easily. So, for all these reasons, Taiwan should join the bulk of the international community and stand up for the innocent in Gaza. This means condemning Israeli airstrikes on civilian infrastructure in the Gaza Strip and urging Israel to grant more access for aid. By calling out Israel's violations of international humanitarian law, Taiwan can enhance its reputation within the international community and the United Nations. As the IDF proceed with the ground invasion of Gaza, Israel's de facto embassy in Taiwan, the Israel Economic and Cultural Office in Taipei, has launched an effective diplomacy campaign. Taiwan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs publicly condemned Hamas in the wake of the atrocious murders and kidnappings of civilians in Israel. So there you go. They've done their signal to show you what side they're on, basically. In response, Israel has called Taiwan a good friend of Israel and criticized China's response to the attack as disturbing, likely targeted at China's criticism of Israel's military operations in Gaza and refusal to denounce the attack by Hamas. Public support from Taiwan has also poured in. Israel's representative office in Taipei exhibited flowers and gifts from the Taiwanese public, showing support for the innocent civilians kidnapped by Hamas. Maya Yaron, Israel's unofficial representative to Taiwan, publicly urged Taiwanese to recognize the conflict as a war against terrorism, rather than a war between two states. So I think that's enough. My voice is getting a little tired in case any of you guys can't hear it. I did a lot of shouting at someone in my building who refuses to leave. He's like a bad smell in the air. But anyway, let's just move on briefly here. So there's too much for me to cover now. I'm getting tired. I just wanted to briefly show you this document here. Okay, sorry. The teetering domino, because we were talking about the domino theory and how they're making use of it now. The implications of the teetering domino, the implications of the Israel-Hamas war for the Taiwan Strait. So I'm not going to get too much into this because this is just kind of really gross propaganda, NATO propaganda that talks like about how like Xi Jinping, as if he does not understand the Middle East at all. You know, like they're really being really insulting and condescending with this. So I don't really want to bore you or toxify you with this this crap. I just wanted to demonstrate to you that they are using that argument all over again. So we'll just kind of jump down to here. What does the Hamas attack mean for Taiwan? Taiwan's chief lesson in the wake of the sudden and brutal assault in southern Israel is that constant and vigilant intelligence is key. In the early hours of October 7th, it appears that there was some sort of colossal intelligence failure in Israel, likely due to an Iranian, or while speculative, Iranian-Chinese takedown of Israeli communications and surveillance in and around Gaza. Israeli intelligence was blinded, and that is when the massacre began. American intelligence, too, failed. Indeed, under the Biden administration, many intelligence assets have been relocated to the Asian or European theaters, especially following Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The simultaneous failure of two of the world's greatest intelligence services was key to the brutal success of the heinous Hamas terror attacks. This is also from globaltaiwan.org. If you go looking into it, I'm sure it's like sponsored by the Taiwanese government or the U.S. NED or whatever. So as soon as his intelligence was back online and there was a clear picture of what was happening, Netanyahu declared war. There will be plenty of after-action reports from which Israel and the United States will glean information about intelligence failures. Taiwan should pay close attention to these after-action determinations, and it should heed the warnings. Taiwan's Minister of National Defense, Chu Kuo-cheng, stated that the conflict between Israel and Hamas has forced Taiwan to enhance its ability to forecast possible threats. Yet apart from military preparedness, Taiwan needs to focus on better understanding the nature of its enemy and predicting its moves. So my voice is getting a little too tired to carry on there. I wanted to wrap up with a video about the slippery slope fallacy that talks about specifically the domino theory, rather than continue to read this this propaganda piece. I'll just kind of show you this video here that sort of sums up all the reasons why you can't use this type of analysis to understand a political situation like this. So while in this article, I should maybe just quickly touch on the part where, because they're claiming that Xi doesn't know the Middle East, whatever, right? He doesn't understand it. He's too stupid or whatever. But this is applying this domino theory to these situations in the Middle East. It says, like earlier this year, General Secretary Xi fancied himself a rising power broker in the Middle East when he facilitated the renewed relationships between Iran and Saudi Arabia. As a newcomer to the region for anything other than oil, surveillance technology, and cheap Chinese exports, Xi has little understanding of who the players are or how to work with them. However, Xi perceived a clear American effort to disengage from the Middle East during the Biden administration, and he saw this as an opportunity to exert his influence and expand his desire to be a kingmaker. Xi also fancies himself something of an expert in the area of global economic strategy. His Belt and Road Initiative has ingratiated dozens of leaders from developing countries to him through the CCP's assistance in building vital infrastructure, including bridges, roads, soccer stadiums, etc. He has had some success with a few of the poorer Middle East countries, including Egypt, Lebanon, Iraq, and Yemen, but he has also made inroads with wealthy Gulf countries with Iran, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Qatar, Oman, and Kuwait signing up for the BRI. Sounds like a guy who really doesn't understand things at all or how to work with them, right? what Xi has certainly seen since the barbarous, Iran-backed Hamas massacre on October 7th, like that. You could have just said since October 7th, but you got to put in all that. Is that he does not understand the Middle East. His make nice efforts with all sides are largely stage-managed operations designed to ensure the free flow of oil to China in the wake of Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the attendant uncertainty surrounding Moscow's ability to export. Does Xi Jinping have what it takes to be a kingmaker in the Middle East? To date, he has not been able to demonstrate the agility or understanding to flex the CCP's muscle in this arena. Like the mullahs in Tehran, Xi is betting that the conflict between Israel and Hamas intensifies, and that support for the Palestinians among Sunni Arab Muslims will force leaders to denounce Israel. They hope that the US-led Abraham Accords will be derailed and that countries that normalize relations with Israel, the UAE, Bahrain, and Morocco, will stray from their commitments. To date, the UAE and Bahrain have made statements condemning Hamas. China's grand vision is that America's role will diminish and the CCP will be able to export its vision for regional security as articulated in its February 2023 Global Security Initiative. So let me see what you guys are saying. Israel. Taiwan, do you condemn Hamas? Taiwan, you bet, BB. I hope Joe is listening. Yeah. My president told me that Xi is a dictator. Yeah, he must be right? He said it. It must be true, eh? Yeah, all right. So I'm kind of all burnt out here, so I'm going to wrap this up now. I probably should have put this one on here, but thanks for being here, guys. Keep checking out RBN. They're doing great work. Indie News Network, The Gray Zone, Midwestern Marks, Charlie Brown Politics has got his own podcast. Check that out. Try to catch Social Contract at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time Tuesdays, and Beyond the Arc 9 p.m. Sunday Eastern. Let me just call up this video here. So I'll see you guys next week. Thank you for being here. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. So have a good night. And I'll close out with this here. So.
On the plains of the Serengeti, a dung beetle rolls his perfectly sculpted ball of dung away from competitors. In this Canadian river, a beaver rushes to reinforce her dam as it threatens to burst. As the snowball thunders down the mountainside, gaining momentum, the Arctic foxes run for cover. I can't stand these nature programs. Always the same story and not a rational actor in sight. What else is on? It's April 1954, and Vietnamese nationalists are on the verge of victory against French forces fighting for control of Vietnam. Their victory could lead to an independent Vietnam under communist leader Ho Chi Minh. The United States President, Dwight D. Eisenhower, is holding a press conference to comment on these developments. Well, if you really must. Eisenhower claims that by virtue of what he calls the falling domino principle, communist control of Vietnam would be the beginning of a disintegration that would be certain to cause incalculable loss. The beetles and the beavers may be beyond my reach, but surely here's someone I can reason with. Now, Mr. President, let's take a deep breath, shall we? It's a big leap, or one might say, a long slide, from communist governance of Vietnam to the global spread of authoritarian communist regimes. It's as if we were to say you were clothed, now you're in your underwear, so soon everyone in the world will be completely naked. Don't worry, I may have that power, but I promise not to use it. Now, as I was saying, this kind of argument where one step, let's call it A, kicks off a string of events that inevitably culminates in an extreme scenario, let's call it Z, is known as a slippery slope. Many such arguments focus on catastrophe, but the slope to an extreme positive outcome can be just as slippery. The trouble with this kind of argument is that in presenting Z as the inevitable outcome of A, it almost always overstates the likelihood that Z will happen if A happens. Why? Allow me to trouble you with some math. Let's assume, for the sake of argument, that taken individually, each step between A and Z is independent from the others and very likely, 99%. So, the probability that A causes B, that B causes C, that C causes D, and so on, is each 99%. Even so, each additional step adds an opportunity to alter the outcome, and A is only 78% likely to lead to Z, far from an inevitability. If there's a 95% likelihood of each step, the chance that A leads to Z plummets to about 28%. If there's a 90% likelihood at each step, still very likely by most standards, the chance that A leads to Z is only 7%. And if 24 of the 25 steps between A and Z are 99% likely, and 1 is 50% likely, the chance that A leads to Z goes down from 78% to 39%. Back to your situation. I won't deny you have reason to be concerned. You're warily watching as powerful, authoritarian communist regimes in the Soviet Union and China try to spread their form of governance. But let's take a look at the chain of events you suggest. You say that the countries surrounding Vietnam would all soon fall under communist rule, that this would result in a loss of essential trade with these countries for others, that with no non-communist nations left to trade with, Japan would be pressured towards communism, and that this, in turn, would threaten Australia and New Zealand. Your ultimate fear, if I may presume, is that this will in turn threaten the United States. Is this a possibility? Sure. Where I take issue is with your comparison to dominoes. These complex real-world events are not, in fact, like dominoes, where when the first one falls, it becomes a certainty that the last will fall. For any one of these events, a number of possible outcomes could result, each affecting the other events in different ways. The possibilities are not a chain, they're a web.
It's 1975, and after 20 years of conflict and several million lives lost, North Vietnamese forces have taken control of the capital of South Vietnam. The war is over, and all of Vietnam is under communist control. Communist regimes have come to power in neighboring Laos and Cambodia, where the regime will be responsible for the deaths of an estimated quarter of all Cambodians.
Wait, there's more. That first step you were trying to avoid happened, but the end result you predicted did not. As for the steps between, a few happened, many did not. Decades afterward, your fellow humans are still debating why events unfolded the way they did. And this is the trouble with slippery slope arguments. They focus exclusively on extreme outcomes, assigning those outcomes a degree of certainty or inevitability that rarely corresponds to reality.
They divert attention from other, more likely possibilities, foreclosing discussions that might be more productive. And that's when they're made in good faith. Slippery slope arguments can also be intentionally structured to take advantage of people's fears. Whatever your position on an issue, it's easy to come up with an extreme outcome that suits your aims. Best to avoid them entirely, eh? Humans will fall for every pitfall in existence.